the Grammy nominations are in, indicating what is the best 5 metal songs of 2025. What do I think about them? Find out next. Welcome, metal enthusiasts, to a special Grammy nomination episode of the Metal Dude Abides. If you have been a fan of this channel, you know that we have been in a series called Fixing the Grammys for some time, where we go back in time and look at what the Grammys should have done as opposed to what they have done. Because let's face it, the Grammys really don't have any cultural relevance in the heavy metal community, because they have done such a poor job of representing metal, going all the way back to the late 80s when they picked Jethro Tull over Metallica. Now, that was their worst offense, but let's be honest, most years it is somewhere between mid to head-scratching to totally a slap in the face of the metal community. Nonetheless, we go year by year and say, here's what the Grammys should have done. But the past sometimes meets the present, and last Friday, the Grammys put out their nominations for 2025, so we're going to review them here. Now, this year is very intriguing because it's going to pit two of the most loyal, rabid fan bases in all of metaldom, as both Ghost and Sleep Token received nominations. It'll be really interesting to see if these two fan bases generate some interest this year in the award. So what we're going to do this episode is we're going to go through the nominations. We're going to go through from least deserving all the way to the song that I would select for best metal performance. And I'm also going to give you my insight, my predictions as to who the Grammys are going to pick. Now, I've only been doing this a couple years, but I am 2 for 2, so I want to keep my perfect record intact. But this year, I have to be honest, I'm a little bit worried. I'm not quite sure who the Grammys are going to pick, so trying to keep my record intact. We'll see how I do. Without further ado, let's go through the 5 nominations. Coming in at number 5 is the band Turnstile and their song, Birds. Turnstile put out one of the best albums of 2025, Never Enough. So why are they all the way ranked down at a distant number 5? Well, because they're not a heavy metal band. They're not even close to being a heavy metal band. I have never in my life heard the term heavy metal and Turnstile in the same sentence until last Friday. So they're definitely number 5. It seems to me like the Grammys are never really going to knock this category out of the park, because let me just say, 2025 is one of the best years in the history of heavy metal. So many good songs, albums, and artists to choose from. That the Grammys would sit here and pick a non-metal band again in this category was a little disheartening. I won't, at this point, you don't expect anything better. You kind of close one eye and read the nominations because you know they're not going to get it right every year. But this one seemed like a particularly bad selection. So coming in at number 5, Turnstile, Birds. Coming in at number 4 is Spiritbox with their song Soft Spine off their latest Tsunami Sea album. This is the 3rd straight year that Spiritbox has secured a nomination. And while Tsunami Sea was a good album, I don't really think it was a great album. If you look at it in comparison to their previous album Eternal Blue or even their EP Jaded, I felt like this was a step back. Again, not a terrible album, a good album. So my Dodgers just won the World Series. Congratulations to my boys. In baseball, I feel like Tsunami Sea was like a single. Nothing wrong with it. a nice listen, but not what Spirit Box has shown us in the past, and I don't think it shows us what they're capable of. So that's why they roll in at number 4. Now, for some, this is by far the heaviest song nominated, so it gets a little bit of credence there. The other thing that I would say is not only is this not the best Spirit Box song, but one of the things that, let's just be honest, one of the big calling cards for Spirit Box is that they have a female lead singer, which in the world of metal, although it's becoming more and more prevalent, was at one point a little bit of a novelty. I did a video way back in the summer talking about how this year, 2025, might be the best year of female-led heavy metal ever. And so not only do I not think Spirit Box was the best that they could do, if we're looking at just female-oriented bands, I can come up with 4 or 5 selections that were better than what Spirit Box put together. So I think sometimes the Grammy gets in a rut. They latch onto a band, and then they kind of stay with this. I found it weird that Spirit Box got 2 straight nominations for an EP. Like, they gave them a nomination 2 straight years for an EP that had, 5 songs on it. So I think this is one of those things where the Grammys are kind of in a rut. Spirit Box is a name they've known from the past, and so they went, oh, Spirit Box had a new album, throw it in there. But I do not believe it is a deserving nomination. This is 2 years in a row where I thought it was a little bit dicey that they got a nomination, so I put them in at number 4. Okay, things are about to get really tricky here because the next 3 artists are all artists I really like. I do a year-end best songs of the year, best albums of the year every December. I've started to compile my list this year. All 3 of these artists make my top songs of the year list, and they're all bunched pretty closely. So this is really a tough one for me. The difference between 3 and 1 is very tight indeed. But coming in at number 3, my boys from Ghost with their song Lacrima. Now, we talked about Spirit Box being a nomination 3 years in a row. This is the 3rd nomination for Ghost in the last 4 years. So they are all also an artist that gets lots of Grammy nominations. I believe they've had 6 total, including a win way back in 2019 for the song Charisse. Now, this was the lead single off their new album, Skeleta, and it is so darn catchy. I did a top 10 Ghost songs of all time. This one comes in like number 9 on the list. And when you start talking about the best Ghost songs of all time, let's be honest, Ghost has consistently wrote some of the best, catchiest music that you're ever going to hear. So getting into that top 10 is a big achievement. So why number 3? Well, I suppose, and it's being very nitpicky, while it's a great song and it's very catchy, a little bit more melodic, a little less heavy than some of their past songs. I look at a couple of nominations ago when they did Call Me, Little Sunshine, little heavier. That's kind of my sweet spot for Ghost. This one's a little more melodic, so it drops to number 3. But again, the difference between 3 and 1 is so close. It could have gone any direction. Let's move on to number 2. Coming in at number 2, Emergence from Sleep Token. Oh boy, this is another great song. This is the very first Grammy nomination for Sleep Token. They got 2 this year, here in the Best Metal Performance, and also for the Best Rock Song for the song Caramel. So congratulations to Sleep Token for finally breaking through. Now, Emergence was the very first single that came off their brand new album, Still in Arcadia. And it is a very good song. Lots of twists and turns and tempo changes, and you name it, this song has it. Now, I believe that it's hard for me to give this the Grammy as the best song of the year when I actually think that there's a better song on this same album. I have fallen in love with the title track, Still in Arcadia. If that were the song that was nominated, they would get the nod from me. As it is, with this song, they're going to pull down the runner-up this year. Now, I told you that I was going to put on my prophet hat and say who I think the Grammys are going to pick this year. And I believe right here, this is the song that's going to win. You get into a pattern with the Grammys. And I think they have a little bit of FOMO because they completely missed Take Me Back to Eden. Take Me Back to Eden is by far my favorite Sleep Token album. It produced a number of great hits, and it produced the kind of music that the Grammys should have latched onto, and they missed it. And if I know the Grammys, they hate when they miss on something. So generally speaking, the next time that artist comes around, that's when they latch on to them. I used the example earlier about Metallica losing to Jethro Tull that first year. Well, boy, they snapped right to it and gave Metallica a string of victories after that. They knew they messed up, and the Grammys know they messed up by not nominating Sleep Token a couple of years ago. They're going to make up for it and give them the award this year. There's my prediction. But of course, who am I picking? I guess there's only one left to talk about. My selection of the 5 nominees presented to me by the Grammy Awards is going to be Dream Theater with their song Night Terror. This was the first single off their sensational new album, Parasomnia. And if Dream Theater wins, this would be their second Grammy win. They won back in 2022 for the song The Alien. Now, many people have a negative viewpoint of Dream Theater, and I get it. But this year, I really think Dream Theater knocked it out of the park. This is one of the best Dream Theater albums of all time, in my humble opinion. And that's one of the reasons I went ahead and selected them this year. Tsunami Sea, not by a long way Spirit Box's best work. I didn't think Lacrima or Skeleton, was the best that Ghost has ever put out. And I didn't think that Still in Arcadia topped the previous album from Sleep Token. So all of these nominees, like when you're with all the competition and all the great heavy metal music, I want to get a band in there that's actually putting out the best material maybe they've ever put out. And that's what I feel about with Dream Theater. Dream Theater has been a band that's been focused on the music side of things, the guitars and the drums, but sometimes they are lacking in song quality. This year, this album, I really think Dream Theater focused more on the songmanship, the lyrics, and it really paid off. This is also the return of Mike Portnoy, one of the greatest drummers on planet Earth, and he delivers some fantastic drumming on this song and this album. I think his return really energized Dream Theater, and this is the best Dream Theater album in decades. So congratulations to Dream Theater, at least from this corner of the Metalverse. You should win of these 5 nominations. Again, I think Sleep Token's going to take it this year, but it should be Dream Theater. Now there's a couple of other nominations I want to talk about next. Well, we're definitely focused on the Best Metal Performance nominations. I do want to throw a couple of metal-based nominations in other categories as well. And we're going to start with the Best Rock Album of the Year. And I love this album, Deftones' Private Music. Another band, Linkin Park, put out From Zero this same year, so they're also getting a nomination. Now, I'm not as big of a fan of Linkin Park. I'm definitely in the Deftones camp on this one. I hope that they bring home Best Rock Album. That would be a nice feather in their cap of the metal community. In Best Rock Performance, Linkin Park is again nominated for The Emptiness Machine, and Youngblood is nominated for his song Changes. Now, if you don't know the story behind Changes, that's an old Black Sabbath number. Youngblood chose that number to part of the Black Sabbath farewell tribute. And so, if I know again my Grammys, they're going to give the award for Best Rock Performance to Youngblood. I think they're going to lean in on the tribute to Ozzy being one of the biggest events in music this year. So go Deftones, go Youngblood. I think both of those are absolutely great choices. Now, you say to yourself, okay, you keep saying, well, the Grammys gave me these 5 selections. What would be your 5 nominations? I can hear you out there asking it, but you're going to have to wait. Because as I said earlier, I'm right now compiling the best songs and best albums of 2025. We're going to do the top 25 albums of the year on December 16th on our regular Tuesday slot. I chose the top 25 albums in honor of 2025. Also, we're going to do the top 25 metal songs on December 30th. I know better than to compete with New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, so we're going to go that Tuesday again, December 30th. But I'm going to do something different this year. I'm going to do a lead-up where I talk about individual songs going in prior to. So starting in late November, early December, I'm going to start the countdown. We're going to talk about the top 60 songs in heavy metal this year, leading up to the big special on 12/30, where I'll talk about the final 25. So subscribe to the channel so you can hear about the best albums of the year, you can hear about the best songs of the year, and you can be with us daily throughout the month of December as we do our countdown to those big year-end specials. In the meantime, this is the Metal Dude signing off. Take care.